There we go. Much better. There we go. Much better. There we go. Okay. So, next order of business is music. So let's look something up. Kind of hoping I'd find something that's more than 2 hours long. But, screw it. This is what we're going with. It's not making any sound. Ah! Now it's making sound. Okay, I wish I could play popular music, but unfortunately I can't. I'm gonna start, doing some advertising stuff. I'm gonna use the bathroom, and then we're gonna get started. Today is, pizza dough, and I'm going to put in my, chat, my the stuff for, donations. So, boom. There we go. This music, man. It's getting to the point where I wish this music wasn't this music. Is that mean? Like, is that a mean thing to say? Because I realize that these people make music, so YouTubers like me won't have to worry, or Twitchers like me won't have to worry. But, okay, just making sure the camera's working. Let's listen to the, another one. This one's kind of annoying. Yeah, I think I like this one a little bit better. I don't want music to overpower what I'm saying, so I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. Because I don't want to scream this whole time. Alright. So we're almost ready to get started. Just gotta do a few things. I got the oven preheated. I've got everything out for tomato sauce. Oh yeah, and I gotta change the freaking title of this. For some reason, Twitch won't let me do this on my computer. I have to do it on my phone. Alright? Okay. Let's give this a look. Unfortunately, Andrew, they are a necessary evil. I need to get back on my feet somehow. Sorry about that. I didn't unmute that for some reason. But yeah, I'm just plotting that up there. Just, if y'all feel so inclined, that's fine. But if you don't, that's also fine. Alright. So, we're almost ready to get started. I just gotta put some things down. For instance, I gotta tell everybody that I'm streaming. I'm gonna pop up to the bathroom, and then we're gonna finish doing everything else. Alright. I have to use the embed code! I keep forgetting to use the embed code. But, this has been on time, unlike all of my other unlike all of my other streams. My other streams have been kind of late, because I was kind of struggling with time management. I've been not really feeling the best emotionally lately, so I know I've been saying that a lot, but I mean, losing my job took a big toll on me, which is fine. I mean, everyone has their ups and downs. Alrighty. And lastly, tell everybody on Twitter. Twitter is always like the afterthought for me. Is that bad? Oh, don't feel bad for me, Andrew. Shit happens. I mean, really, that's really the long and short of it, right? I mean, shit happens, and you just kind of have to... You just kind of have to adapt, I guess. Alrighty. I will be back in 2 shakes. Alrighty. So, here's where we start. We're going to start with our tomato sauce before I do anything. Okay. Yeah, we're going to start with our tomato sauce before we do anything. Before I take out my dough and everything, I've already made the dough. I'm just letting it rest for now, and it's pretty easy to tell the difference between which is which. So, if you've never seen me cut shallots before, always cut anything that's an onion or like an onion in half first, preferably through the fat part, if you guys can see this. Then cut a little slit in the middle like this. Down like that. Then just like that. And you should have finely diced onion without, except these are shallots, without any sort of tears involved. And so we're just going to keep doing that repeatedly. Now, I know people like to say that that they don't put much in their tomato sauce, but we're going to put shallots in the tomato sauce. People say it makes it too sweet. I disagree. Well, people say it makes the sauce too sweet, but then they add sugar into their sauce. So that's never made any sense to me at all. Now, too acidic? Maybe, but I always add honey. A lot of people add white granulated sugar, but I don't. I prefer to add honey simply because, I mean, honey melts quicker. I mean, I've had the unfortunate, I'm getting some shallot everywhere. I've had the unfortunate, opportunity, I guess, to actually bite through, like, an undissolved clump of sugar while I'm eating, like, spaghetti sauce or something. So, I try not to add sugar. Sometimes I'll add brown sugar, like if I'm feeling really old-fashioned, but I might need a little bit more, so I'll use one of the little ones. I'll use the other two later. I thought I'd need all three, but usually my rule of thumb is if it fills up one of these, I have enough. That's about maybe 1.5 ounces of shallots. The best thing about tomato sauce is that you don't really need measurements. You just gotta make sure that there's not too much liquid in it to put on your pizza. Oh man, I love making pizza. I used to make it all the time, actually, when my sister lived with us. But, when she moved out, I stopped making it. Alright. People add sugar because tomatoes are very, very acidic. And depending on what kind of tomatoes you use, it can actually burn the inside of your mouth if you're not careful. Or severely affect the inside of your mouth if not careful. So people sometimes add cream and or sugar, or maybe even both, to their tomato sauce. Alright. We're going to use this just to wipe off the knife and wipe off the cutting board, so... I'm going to use about 5 garlic cloves for this. One of the easiest ways to cut garlic... Okay. You see that it has this husk around it, okay? One of the easiest ways to cut garlic is you pound on it with the flat of your knife, and it just comes off. And it's already kind of crushed, and it's easier to cut that way. And so you can do that with each one of these. Just be careful not to get your hand on the blade, but, you know, if you use the heel of your hand, it should be fine. You know, I actually learned this trick because of how much I watch Gordon Ramsay shows. Not because of culinary school. If I was in culinary school, they would make me peel all these by hand. Without learning this trick. You can peel garlic in 5 minutes following this one weird trick. And if it doesn't work, I mean, just hit it again. Like that. That's much better. There we go. Easy. Okay. Now, unlike our garlic knots, which we're going to be started on soon, we actually don't have to cut the garlic that finely, but finely enough. And here, I'm going to try and bring the camera in closer so you guys can see this. I have to be very, very careful with this thing, because it'll freeze if I'm even the slightest bit rough with it. Alright. Just making sure. Alright, make sure you guys can see this. Maybe I should move these off. There we go. The thing with garlic is hand on the top, hand on the bottom, and just lever. Oop. And I don't care what anybody says, alright? Oh, there's a little bit of husk right here. My bad. I don't care what anybody says. Tomato sauce absolutely needs garlic. There's this rash of people saying that it doesn't need garlic, that, oh, tomato sauce is fine without it. But no, that is a lie. Whoever told you that is lying, and they are evil, and they are trying to sabotage you. But you chop garlic the same way you chop herbs. And if you notice, I guess my knife isn't as sharp as I thought it was, because some bits of garlic are flying everywhere. But I guess it's my fault. It costs a lot to sharpen a knife down here. And as much as I have friends who are like, well, I have a whetstone, I can do it, I don't trust them. At least not with my knife. This knife cost me... This knife was a gift, and I really... It's cost me at least $300 in upkeep alone. Like, this knife has not seen a dishwasher, and will likely never see a dishwasher. I always wash this knife by hand. I steal it pretty much every time I use it. It's very, very important to me. My parents got this for me for Christmas about 4 or 5 years ago, and I've been using it ever since. It was a gift for graduating culinary school. And they were just like, well, we wanted to give you this as a very special gift on Christmas, and it was special. In fact, I almost cried because what happened was someone stole my knife initially. I had managed to get enough money to buy a really nice knife for specifically for school, and one of my classmates stole it. I left it on the table, and one day it was gone, and then I saw that same classmate using it when I accused him. He then dropped it on the floor and broke it. And the knife, because I didn't realize how poorly made it was, actually snapped in half, so neither of us could use it. I'm guessing he knew that, so he was just kind of like, okay, well, if she's gonna be an asshole about it, because I was an asshole about it, which I had every right to be, frankly. He just decided that neither of us should be able to use it, which is kind of a dick move. Does your grandma really believe that garlic does not belong in tomato sauce? Because I'm gonna have a nice long talk with her, I think, and try to convince her otherwise. Why would she do this? Alright, so, first things first with the tomato sauce, and let's gently shift our camera so it doesn't freak out on me. To the sauterne here. Alright, don't ask why I'm wearing a quarter long sleeve shirt and don't ask why I'm wearing a quarter long sleeve shirt in 90-degree weather. Because your answer's gonna be laundry sucks. So I forgot to bring out the oil. Okay. So I gave you guys this lesson in the last stream, but it wasn't on Twitch. So when you saute something, it means well, saute means to jump. But since this is a sauterne and not an actual pan, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of oil. I got the heat up on high to medium high here, and I'm going to make sure that our garlic and our shallots are nice and caramelized. And caramelized means basically you're browning it. Okay, I'm gonna open our tomatoes here. Wow, this wasn't kidding. These weren't kidding when they say crushed tomatoes. I was kind of hoping for some chunks. Well, I'm glad I bought some diced tomatoes then. The most important thing you got to remember about tomato sauce is make sure that it does not have a lot of moisture, or it will soak right through your pizza crust. And you get soggy pizza crust. Nobody wants soggy pizza crust. I mean, this is not Domino's. It'll even 30. She's from the old country. She likes things done her way. Yeah, it makes sense. Hey, Soup! I'm glad that you decided to drop by even though you have to leave. You know I'm always happy to see you. Right now, we're not so much baking as we are making tomato sauce. Right now, I'm just draining this can. I'm gonna have to change the song in a minute because it's getting on my nerves already. Alright. Okay. Tomatoes have been drained. Oh yeah, and the garlic nuts. Garlic nuts are coming soon. Now, is this hot enough? Not quite. Well, it's smoking. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in. Oh my god, listen to the sizzle. Oh, the sizzle's so good. Yes! Yes! Alright. We got our crushed tomatoes, our diced tomatoes, and our tomato paste. But what we really want to make sure of is that all of this here, let me bring up the camera just a bit. Hopefully it won't have a problem with me doing that. Is we have to make sure that these are browned. Now, maybe not browned all the way through, because sometimes people think brown means burnt, and it doesn't. But we just have to make sure that these are nice and brown, because when you caramelize something, because basically what happens when you make caramel is that your sugar basically gets so hot that it turns a different color, that it undergoes a completely different chemical reaction. So what we're doing with this is that what we're doing with our garlic and our shallots is that we are causing a chemical reaction, so it changes its flavor and color entirely. And everybody knows that there is a huge difference in between cooked onions and raw onions. So that's what I'm doing here. And specifically shallots, it makes them a lot sweeter. I don't know if y'all can see that, but some of them are starting to get brown. And then if I have to deglaze anything, which basically getting the brown stuff we call fond at the bottom of the pan, I'm going to pull out a little bit of wine. This is what little wine I have left from my wine and Overwatch Let's Play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour a little bit in here. God, that sound is so satisfying. Make sure all the brown stuff is off. And you guys can see that now the garlic and shallots are a different color. Alright. First things first is tomato paste. Then, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. Make sure that's well mixed in. Make sure it's nice and chunky. And then, we're adding the rest of the crushed tomatoes. Now these crushed tomatoes are more like pureed tomatoes. I was kind of hoping that the tomatoes would be a bit more chunky, but that's why I bought those diced ones, just in case they weren't. Because it definitely looks advertised, and like, look at this, and then look at what it looks like on the can. Like, the can definitely says that these are a lot chunkier than they actually are. Alright, now usually I'd say that's done, but we're going to let it simmer with basil and parsley. And I don't want to use all of this, because I want to use some of the basil and parsley for the tops of our garlic knots, so... But we are going to put a good chunk of it in there. And that adds a lot of color to it. See, look at that. Perfection! Alright, now I'm going to add a little bit more wine and let that, let it simmer for just a sec with the top on. I'm definitely going to turn down the heat. So when it gets to this stage, you really want to turn down your heat. But oh my god, look at that madness. Like, whoa, that's so good. Okay. So we're gonna let this simmer with the top on. For about 15 minutes. Yes, nice and chunky. Alright. So we're gonna give it some cleaning, and then I'm going to introduce you guys to our dough. And it's, oh wait, I can't do that yet actually. I need to cut some garlic for the top of the garlic knots. This is mine. All of this is mine. Okay, so a little bit more garlic for the garlic knots. The garlic knots, the dough already has garlic in it, but you can never have enough. Especially not for garlic knots. Especially because the garlic knot recipe really has no salt in it. So we are going to be using salted butter. But, in a minute, before I introduce you guys to my, before I introduce you guys to the dough, I should show you the recipes I have in my little recipe Bible. So we're just going to use 2 cloves of garlic, but we're going to cut them up really fine. Because the finer the garlic is, the better it looks on top. And let me redirect your attention back to the cutting board by grabbing the camera and forcing it out a bit more. You guys can probably see my reflection in the fiberglass insulation we have just sitting there. My hair is a bit wild today, so I'm definitely keeping it in a fro mode. Maximum garlic. Yes! Maximum garlic. Can I get some love for maximum garlic in the chat, please? Alright, that's something I used to hate doing in culinary school, was I used to hate mincing garlic. Like, my, one of my chefs would always come by and be like, smaller, 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 when really, one of them, at least one of them, was really just messing with me. He eventually quit. He said that he wasn't cut out for teaching. Those were his words, not mine. I actually thought he was a pretty decent teacher, and he had kind of a shitty attitude about some things, but I actually thought he was a pretty decent teacher. But yeah, he could be an asshole, but, you know, there are some people who, can't help but be assholes. But that doesn't mean they're not nice people. Or good people. Of course, that also means they're just difficult to hang around. One thing I did realize about him, though, was that he was very protective of us as students. One day, a catering company came in. They didn't ask us, they asked the catering company. Came in and did some stuff for the dean of the trade school. And one time, at some point, these people came in and they were pouring iced tea down one of our prep sinks. And of course, I'm the first person who comes in and I'm like, you can't do that. And the woman kind of ignored me. And me being kind of a socially awkward goon at the time, like, I wasn't really confident enough in myself after having, you know, come back from something like acting, and I guess really kind of, basically, when I acted, I was kind of a different kind of person, and I didn't really like the person I was at the time. So, I didn't know how to be nice and tell them to get the hell out at the same time. But as it turns out, they ended up damaging a kokombush cake that one of our classmates had made, and this pissed him off. Like, he went on a freaking tirade. And usually, I don't approve of it. I don't approve of when people in authority kind of do that. But like, that was for a grade. That kokombush cake was for a grade, and that guy worked really, really hard on it. So it was. I was actually very relieved, you know, to see him react the way he did when that happened. Alright. We don't need these other 3 loaves of garlic. They're not going to be a part of the garlic club right now. Alright. Before our pizza dough, we need to cut some mushrooms. And we're going to cut them very thin. And something very important that Domino's and Pizza Hut don't tell you about adding mushrooms to pizza is that they need to be cooked or your pizza's going to be soggy. Especially if it's Chicago deep dish pizza like we're doing today. Alright, are we looking back at the cutting board? I can't tell. Alright, let's bring this over here. Let's bring this a little closer. Let's just dump some of these onto the cutting board. I'm gonna be honest, when I said I was gonna introduce you to the dough, I completely forgot that I had to do this part. I thought I had already cut them, because I was gonna, but I thought, why though? I mean, that's kind of the stuff you want to see, right? You guys want to see me doing stuff like this. I know my left hand technique is not proper technique, but my hands get really bad cramps when I do cat's paw, so I just have to be very, very careful. So I can't cut as quickly as some people, but I do believe that I can cut more thoroughly than most people. But that's really only a problem in my left hand. I'm sure if I had some dexterity in my left hand, I wouldn't have to worry about it. But I don't have any dexterity in my left hand because it cramps so much. So, yeah. I think the only thing I really use my left hand for is driving. And that's so my right hand can do stuff, like eat while I'm driving, which is a bad habit. Don't do that. Especially if you're a new driver, don't eat while driving. It's a bad habit. That's how people get distracted in their cars. The car's thick. That's good. You know that's gonna become another meme, Moon. You know it's gonna become another meme. All right. Yeah, you can see it. It's fine. Looks like it's a little too bright, but I think that's just because of that the sun is really bright outside today. Like, it's the day after the longest day of the year. Let's take a look at this. Oh, that looks great. One of these days, what I really want to do is get a GoPro and, like, attach it to my head or something, so I can show you guys what I'm seeing with hopefully a bit less light. You know what? I think what might help is if I close some of these blinds, because all blinds in the house are open right now. Let's see. Does that help? Yeah, it sort of does. Good. Yeah, like, see, my hand is cramping right now, actually. That's the one thing about cutting so many of these at the same time. And you know, to be honest, it doesn't really matter how thick you want your mushrooms. I just like mine particularly thin. But it does matter that they're all the same size so they can all cook at the same time. Like, that's the one thing you gotta remember about cooking, about cutting vegetables. Cutting vegetables isn't so much about the size of which you're cutting your vegetables, it's the consistency. So they can all be blocky for all I care, they just need to be the same size. And right now, mine are like paper thin. Okay, maybe not paper thin. I wish I could cut that well, but I don't cut that well. See? This is how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to put your knuckles right here. So like when Ignis in Final Fantasy 15 said, cat's paw with the left, that's to keep it away from your fingertips. And it usually works, but like I said, my hand cramps too badly to actually keep it like that for a long period of time. Alright, I think that's gonna be it as far as cutting things. So, cutting board is going away for the rest of the stream now. Oh, and I have a surprise for you guys at the end of this stream. Well, at least at the end of making this pizza. Alright, so we're moving you back. And I'm going to direct your attention to the far pan over here. Let me make sure that works still. Good. I should get ready now. I got a friend coming over in a bit, so I gotta clean. Sorry, I can't stay longer. No, don't worry about it, and enjoy time with your friend. Time with your friends is extremely important, especially when you become an adult and you become boring like me. Alright, so if I can direct your guys' attention to the pan, not the fiberglass insulation at the end of the... Yeah, this is just a piece of fiberglass, so we can keep the grease off of this section of the countertop, and it works pretty well. But as you can tell, we clean the fiberglass quite often. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the eye. And I'm going to put it on high heat. And we're going to do the same thing I did with, the garlic and shallots, where I'm going to caramelize these. But the most important thing that I want to do with our mushrooms and spinach here is I want to drain the liquid out of them so we don't have soggy pizza crust. This is one thing that's most important when you are making pizza. If you are using vegetables, make sure you cook them long enough to where they don't leak out any extra water. That's why Pizza Hut crust is so soggy. That's why Domino's crust is so soggy, because they don't do that. And yes, I just came for Domino's life. Fight me. Everybody say hi to Cake Mom. She's back from her shopping trip. Hello. Everyone. Can I come in? Yeah, it's fine. I'm just about to cook the mushrooms. You didn't get any? What'd you say? Oh, yeah. Okay. I think they ended up having to stick me. And I didn't know that was going to be a thing, but... It was a thing. I was in the car. I had to get it. Oh, okay. Don't tell Cake Mom this, but I actually want a gluten-free stream soon, just for her. Uh-oh. I got a little bit of tomato sauce in there. My bad. Alright, is this hot enough? Feels hot enough. Alright. Don't put your hand in the pan like this, unless you're trained, like I am. Because you're going to burn the hell out of your hand if you do. Alright. Now that's more the familiar sauteing we're used to. Not in the sauteurn like I showed you earlier. You know what? I'm actually going to keep this bowl here. And now we're going to add a little bit of salt to these mushrooms just to bring out the moisture in it a little bit. Because when you see people add salt to most things in cooking applications, it's to either add a little bit of taste or dehydrate it at least a little bit. And don't forget to throw some over your leftover.
Wow.
Good luck. I don't know, it's a Gordon Ramsay thing. Let me bring in the wooden spoon for this. I'm sure a lot of you remember a wooden spoon being used for quite another application in your childhood. But today we're using it for cooking. I might have said that because Cake Mom's in the room, but you know.
What's my name?
Cake Mom?
Why?
Because people call me Cake.
Oh, no.
If people would call me Skull, like they used to, but...
I don't want to be Skull Mom.
Okay, so you're Cake Mom. Okay, now, you see all this liquid that's coming out of these mushrooms? That, if I put these mushrooms in raw, they would have, if I put these mushrooms in raw, they would have come out, that all would have come out in the pizza, which we're not having today. So. We're going to wait till all this liquid cooks out, and then we're going to do the same thing with the spinach. This music is so annoying. It's royalty free though, I don't have a choice. I mean, I can use copyrighted music on Twitch. I just don't want to risk it though. I really don't. Because I eventually have to put this on YouTube. And I really don't want to get another copyright strike from YouTube. I really can't afford to go through that kind of pain again. I actually had someone ask me about my my experience today with the whole thing, and he was very, very nice about it. He offered to help. I need to find a video file for him first. I don't know. I think YouTube destroyed the only one I got though. So we're gonna wait for the mushrooms to cook for a little bit. Make sure they're nice and dry. I don't know if you guys know this, but I love mushrooms. Oh, you know what we can do while we're waiting for the mushrooms to cook? We can see what Gambino's doing. He is actually streaming at the same time I am. I mean, it's probably like, oh god, it's probably like 9 p.m. for him, but... Okay, I'm gonna wait till these get a little more dry, maybe even brown. I know they definitely shrunk, haven't they? Well, that's what happens when all the water comes out of your veggies. So we're gonna see what Gambino's up to. I'm sure he's streaming Overwatch, because Overwatch is the best game ever. Okay, so hang on. Let me show you this. Okay, so my best friend is a bit of a cat person, a lot of a cat person, and she just sent me this glorious little photo. Look at that face. Look at how cute she is. Apparently that is her mother's new cat. Alright. This is going back from the bowl whence it came, which it came from that bowl, but it's gonna go in this bowl. It's got mushroom stuff in it. There we go. Alright. That's done. Now, we're only going to add a little bit, like a minuscule amount of oil for this next application, because spinach has a ton of water in it. And a lot of water on it. You can tell I washed these pretty thoroughly before I actually decided to use them and clean them and everything. So we're just going to let that shrink, and they're going to shrink fast, too. And if you want to use fresh spinach in your pizza, fine. But if you do have to wash it, and you should wash it, you need to dry it very, very thoroughly. And even when, even after I finish cooking these here, I'm gonna still squeeze it out. Because I want it to be as dry as possible. Because all this water you see at the bottom of this can, you don't want that in your pizza. Now, you can skip all these steps entirely if you're using pepperoni. Okay. So here's about where I want the spinach to be cooked. So I'm going to go ahead and dump that, and I'm going to dump it over this bowl here. See how it's not exactly like fully shrunken cooked, but it's cooked enough. Or you know what? I actually might cook it for a bit longer. Just so I know for a fact that all the water's been cooked out. Alright, there we go. Alright. So we're gonna... There we go. Alright, we can put the pan away now, because I don't need it. And I'm honestly just going to pat it dry. It's really hot, but I'm going to pat it dry, regardless. And see, look at what could have ended up in your pizza. Alright, and yeah, really all I'm going to do is pat it dry and make sure that it's as dry as possible. Now, it's never going to be completely dry, but you need to make sure that it's as dry as possible. Dry enough so as not to compromise the state of your pizza dough. Alright. That's enough of that. That goes in the sink with the cutting board. Alrighty. Let's put the kosher salt away. Cheese. Alright. A couple of important steps before I introduce you to the dough. And one of them is turn off the eye of the stove and wipe it off. There we go. Alright. So let's very delicately move back. Okay, good. Cool. Alright, let's make this the center of attention right here. And if you look if you look closely, you can see our dining room table in the background. But alright. This is gonna be our workspace. This is where the magic happens. And not until I wipe off some of these. Alright, come on. Put the wooden spoon away too. Alrighty. The important step is the addition of parchment paper. Now, people will probably argue with me about this till the cows come home, but I really don't care. Alright. I'm just gonna use a regular spoon. By the way, let's look at how sexy our sauce is right now. This is maximum sexy. That's maximum sexy. Look how nice and chunky that is. I like chunky sauce. A lot of people would disagree with me, but they're wrong. Alright, I'm gonna let that simmer on a very low heat again. Without a top. Sorry, you just got a full shot of the booze. I apologize. Alright. Parchment paper application is easy. But you do need a pen and a pair of scissors. Now, if you're a jerk, like I am, you could just go ahead and tear a hole in the parchment paper. I wasn't quite successful though. I should have done it with a needle, but who cares? Alright. And the set of baking scissors, as you can tell, is they are coated in flour. Out of the way as quick as possible. Sorry if that seemed a little messy. I could just tear instead of using a pair of scissors. The circle doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. At least in this instance. Most of the times it does have to be absolutely perfect. Because you don't want what happened to me last baking stream. We're not going to talk about that. That was just a nightmare. Alright. And this is probably not going to win me any friends in the professional circuit, but you know what? I can't reach it. I'm going to have to move my computer. My computer? Is it that? Okay, good. And grab my pan here. Now, that'll probably get me some grief, but I said this before, and I'll say it again. Don't care. It lets the parchment paper stick. Oh, yeah, and by the way, I forgot to mention this. This is called a springform pan. Mostly because when you release the spring, this just comes off. And you're able to slip this off over the pan. But we're not going to do that. Not right now. Not until the pizza's ready to come out. And then I'm going to spray the inside of the parchment paper, provided I don't run out. There we go. Perfection. Okay, and we don't need to flour it. Alright, now that we got those important steps done, put the baking scissors back. Alright. Our spinach is cooked, so are our mushrooms. We have everything we need for the garlic knots and the, everything we need for the garlic knots and our pizza crust, including our cheese, which I'm just using flat cheese because it is, there we go. Because it is Chicago deep dish, so we don't want shredded cheese. Shredded cheese allows a chance for more moisture, which, as I've said before, a million times already, we don't need. So, let me introduce you to our friend pizza dough. Pizza dough's being a little bit stubborn. This is pizza dough. Hang on. Now, in the professional world, they would call this benching flour. But we're just dusting. Not too much, not too little. Just enough to make sure it doesn't stick. Okay. So, our pizza dough is nice and soft and pliable, whereas our bread dough is a little more staunch. So we're going to sit this here. And that's already covered in olive oil, so... This is the most annoying music I've ever heard. What is that? This is the garlic nut dough. It's my flatbread recipe, basically. And this is the garlic nut dough. So you can already tell that the two are very, very different. Where is my... Now, you can tell how long I spent developing my garlic knot recipe, which is written out very specifically in the recipe Bible here. But you can tell that the pizza crust one is a little more haphazardly written. Sorry. Yeah, you can tell that that one's a little more haphazardly written. But we're going to get started on this baby first. So we're going to go put this one back to bed into the olive oil, and we're going to go ahead and knead this one. Which, any of my dough knives in here? Doesn't look like it. I thought I had it out, apparently. Oh, yes, I do have it out, actually. Here it is. This is a bench scraper. Most people call it a dough knife. So, Alright. This might be a bigger serving than I intended, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep these to the side, and then we're going to use these.
I might be laying down.
Okay. Make sure they're the same size as much as possible. Yeah. Okay. Make sure they're all facing the same way. There we go. Yeah, there we go. The next thing you want to do is wrap them in little balls like this. And if you were wondering, this is just the same dough recipe from this is just the same herb blend in it. If you can see all the colors. This is just the same herb blend as the garlic. I mean, as the tomato sauce. You can knead them a little bit too if you want them to be a little bit tougher. Now, I'm going to teach you guys a little science lesson. Do you see the web texture in this dough here? If someone says they're gluten-free, that's what they're trying not to eat. That's gluten. You can actually see gluten in bread. Gluten is made up of is a protein as... Is it a protein? I just know that it's made up of 3 amino acids. And if you do that, what I just showed you is called the window pane test. The gluten wasn't that developed, as you see. I still want these to be pretty supple. I don't want them to be chewy at all. The harder and more springy a dough is, the more gluten it has. So you can definitely tell that this dough is harder than our pizza crust. You saw our pizza crust; it was a little like silly putty. This one the same size? No, it's a little bit bigger. We're gonna cut a little bit away from that. Alright, we're gonna put these back in the flour bowl. One is the flour bowl, the other one is an oil bowl. This one's kind of small, so we're just gonna add this piece onto this one. And increase that. See? There we go. Alright, before we tie these into knots, there's something very important I need to show you. Nope. Stay straight. Thank you. And that is egg wash. So, you guys are about to see. Actually, I'm not sure you guys are about to see that. Here we go. Here they are. Sorry about that. See? Tiny bands. Yeah, I really wanted to use the big pan. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to use the big pan. I had the tiny pans out, but I think the big pans are going to be a bit more useful here. I just have to find it. Ah, here it is. Ye old faithful. This thing is old. Probably older than I am. It doesn't look as shiny as my other one, but my other one is previously indisposed, so. Usually, the application you will see Pam or cooking spray being used for in professional kitchens is to make the parchment paper stick. Okay. We're going to add some oil to the bottom of this pan. That's a lot of oil to the bottom of this pan. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over. Put some of the excess oil on the bottom, and plus it helps the parchment paper lay down a bit more. So there we go. Simple fix. Simple things, guys. Simple things. There's no need to panic, even though I have panicked plenty of times on this channel. Alright, and we have a brush. We have an egg that needs to be lightly beaten. Just lightly. I don't support egg cruelty. Look at that egg cracking technique. I'm sure you guys already know that I've worked at Waffle House. Not exactly the prime of my youth. Okay. Sorry, I'm just whipping this over something porous, so it doesn't. Doesn't spill over onto the green mat, because that green mat does not need anything questionable on it. Placing this here. We're going to relocate our pizza pan for just a sec. Okay. Maybe I should bring this closer. We're still good? Yeah, we're still good. Okay. Sometimes it's hard to tell with OBS. Alright, and make sure the little thumb, I always call it a thumb, make sure the little thumb is facing outwards. And you do this with every single one. This is an interesting song. Well, they don't all have to look the same, because mine certainly don't look the same. But just make sure they're all similar in size. Like, one of these is kind of big. So I'm gonna snip, snip. There we go. There we go. Now it's the same size as all the other ones. Remember, they all gotta bake at the same time. It's the same thing I said about the mushrooms. They've all gotta bake at the same time, they've all gotta cook at the same time. This is a problem. That means I didn't roll them quickly. I didn't roll them well enough. When I was, there we go. That means I didn't roll them well enough. When I was rolling them out into, balls. Creases shouldn't be doing that. But they are, so we're just gonna have to live with it. I think I'm only going to be able to fit 2 more on this pan instead of all 8, which is fine. Uh-oh, there we go. Yeah, just that one will do. Okay, now, the importance of egg wash is egg wash browns the top of all of your doughs. So, if you don't use egg wash, what you'll get is kind of this grayish, brownish, floury look, and nobody wants that. So, you just paint over. Make sure you get all the nooks and crannies, or it won't be uniform all the way through. And don't slather it on, because people can't tell that there are chunks of egg. But you do want them fairly evenly coated. Alright. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. Alright, now they're nice and covered. We're actually going to let them rest for just a second because we did work them pretty hard. So, I'm putting them over here, back in a darkened area of the kitchen so they can just chill out and let that yeast develop and ferment. That's what makes dough rise, is the fermentation process with the dough. Now, we are going to concentrate on Lady Pizza. Lady Pizza is a bit more, more of a sophisticated, calmer, more, I hate this word, but supple young dough. While she prefers the company of Miss Garlic Basil, and she has some basil in her, as you guys can tell, because I use the same mixing bowl. Well, I use the same mixing bowl, but it's more like I use the same dough hook. That's more why it's a different thing. This, I know it's a fondant roller, okay? But I'm using it as a bread roller today. We're gonna roll her out nice and thin. Maybe even a bit too big for my green mat. But that's what this green mat is for. This green mat is for dough and baking. You can get this at any store. I would suggest getting a flat one and a Silpat. Unfortunately, Silpat are expensive, so I do not have one. I used to, but it got a big old fat tear in it. And even though it's silicone, you can't repair that, so. Alright. Just make sure it's rolled out evenly. Now you might see that there are some air bubbles in this dough. Good. Alright. So here's what we want to do. We want to grab a little more benching flour and dust the top of our good lady here. And roll her up on the rolling pin like this. Now you guys have probably seen this tons of times on Great British Baking Show or whatever. But yeah, that's how you do it. And then you just lay it gently into the pan. Unless it sticks. Okay. Now, Miss Pizza is a very good lady, but a little bit difficult to deal with sometimes. Now I know I'm grouping up a little bit up here, so we're gonna, nope, stay up there, please. Come on, Miss Pizza. I'm gonna need you to chill. Make sure that these reach the bottom of the pan so there are no tears or anything. Don't mind my nail marks, those actually won't be important. As a matter of fact, they may work to our advantage, because what we need to do next... Okay, come on. If you're worried about the inside integrity of your pizza dough, like I am a little bit right here in this section, you can tear off a little bit and just lay it into the pan, like that. As long as it's on the inside, it doesn't have to be picture perfect, you know? Like, it's Chicago pizza. This isn't some, you know, this is like a pizza cake, you know? Okay. The other sections I'm not worried about, but I was worried about those two sections. Yeah, but yeah, if you're worried, go ahead and like put up a little piece of another piece of dough up there or something. Like in the long run, what you really want is just for your pizza to not well, is your pizza to actually be good, you know? Okay. Now we bring in the fork. Most pizza places, well, at least most actual pizza places, not like Domino's or whatever, they have this little thing where they roll it on top where they roll a perforator on top of their dough. But we don't have a perforator, so we're just going to use a fork. And yes, I have to say it the same way every time. Alrighty. And with a little butter knife, we're just going to slowly ease that off the edge. Just a little bit. Okay. Oh, wait. Alright, just a little bit on the side, not too much. Alrighty, now for cheese application. And yes, the cheese goes first in Chicago pizza. The cheese always goes first in Chicago pizza. Or at least in my version of Chicago pizza. The Georgia version of Chicago pizza. How about that? Oh, whoops. And yeah, I'm using flat cheese. Which shouldn't really be a surprise. Oh my god, this cheese is actually fighting me a little bit. I was hoping that it would peel off in nice little sheets, but it's not. It's probably because it's so humid out here. It's rained for like 3 days, and now it's like oppressively sunny. We're getting all the rain that California should be getting, frankly. But it always turns out that way. We always get so much rain down here. Right. Alright, that's just the first layer of cheese. Okay, so now we're going to start on the spinach and mushrooms. This spinach is still a little bit wet, and I don't want that wetness in my pizza dough. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take the spinach back. We're going to squeeze it as much as possible. Like I said, you'll never completely rid it of water, but get it as dry as possible. And that's what we're putting in here. If I had a little, Lord, if I only had a little bit of Italian sausage. If I only had a little bit of Italian sausage, I would love that. But we can't all have what we want now, can we? Unfortunately. Plus, the Italian sausage at the supermarket I usually go to isn't that great. But there is this meat market that is downtown from where I live, which is about an hour the 45 minutes. 45 minutes to an hour. I said that backwards. I'm sorry. It's about 45 minutes to an hour away from here, and they make their own Italian sausage, and it's like this pork beef blend that is so good. All right, let me taste a little bit of these mushrooms. I love mushrooms. As a matter of fact, at work, when we used to roast mushrooms, I would just eat them off the rack. A little bit more. Get rid of the water. Like I said, make sure it's nice and dry. I really don't want to put fresh spinach in here and then come out with a soggy pizza crust. Feels bad, man. Let's press the rest of the stuff in there. There we go. Good job. Wow, I actually can fit the entire bag of spinach in here. I didn't think I'd be able to. All the mushrooms. Now we're going to add a little bit more cheese. Oh, whoops, nope. You can't have paper in the pizza. Sorry. Alright, while we do that, I'm gonna go ahead and pop the garlic knots in the oven. And they're going in the oven at 400, and they're going on the top rack. The pizza is gonna go on the bottom rack, because I want that bottom crust to cook. Yeah, this pizza has a lot of cheese in it. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I like pizza with a ton of cheese. Unfortunately, we don't have any Italian sausage. Although that would be awesome. But like I said before, the Italian sausage at the supermarket near me isn't great. I'd much rather go downtown, but I mean, do you guys want to drive out 45 minutes to get sausage? I don't think so. And don't turn that into anything dirty in the chat. I see y'all. Okay, I was trying to make sure that I didn't completely cover some of this, but I'm gonna. Because I wanted some of the cheese, some of the sauce to get into the mushroom spinach conundrum I have down here. It's 2 packs of cheese. It is 2 packs of cheese. I expected it to be about two and a half. So usually that's what it is, but fate seems to have other things in mind. Okay, so our next course of action would be to add our sauce, which is looking quite sexy, I might add. So pizza crust is going in there. We're just gonna put this in its own separate little container, so we can just move it somewhere. Frankly, to the sink. Move it to the sink. Where it belongs, because that's where dirty dishes go. Alrighty. Let's grab our tomato sauce, which is looking so good. Oh, and it's still kind of warm, too. But, yeah. Look at how nice and chunky this is. Like, you see that? And it's still steamy. That's so beautiful. Can you even see that? I don't know. I can't tell, because OBS isn't telling me whether you can see it or not. And we want this deliciousness everywhere. Now, I've already added the honey to it. You guys might not have seen it. But I can assure you I did. Alright. Let's turn this a little. Now, if I was feeling brave, which I'm not, I could stack this again and make it into like a little pizza lasagna. But I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna keep it like this. We'll have a little bit of cheese poking through up there. Let me taste this. Oh. Oh my god. That's good. But I think what I'm going to do is add a little bit of salt. Add a little bit of salt. And give it a little, very gentle little mix here. Let's taste again. There we go. That's a good sauce. Oh, imagine how that's going to taste with the basil and the spinach. Oh, God, it's going to be awesome. Okay. So, wet your hands a little bit. And we're just going to make sure that the crust looks uniform on the sides here. Alright, Miss Pizza's looking good. She's ready to go out on the town. Look at this woman. Look at this girl. She is styling and profiling. Alright. And we're gonna add a little bit of egg wash to her, to the hems of her skirt here, so to speak. Just making sure that's good enough to not stick when it's over. Don't worry about getting it in your sauce, but you do want to be careful not to get any sauce on the... You can handle it getting it in your sauce, but not exactly the sauce on your pizza, you dig? Alright. Now, we're going to take Miss Pizza. A little bit more of the sauce. I think the sauce looks so awesome. Alright, we're going to take Ms. Pizza, and we're going to put her at the bottom of the fridge. Oh my god, those look awesome. The garlic nuts are coming along amazingly. Alright, now we just have to to wait for them both to cook. And you know what we're gonna do in that time? Well, first, we're gonna clean. And, we're going to make sure our green surface is nice and clean. This green surface will save your life. It really will. But yeah, we're going to make sure everything's nice and neat. And you should always wipe under your silicone mats. People will say, oh, it doesn't really matter. Nothing really gets in the silicone mats. You don't really have to wipe under it. That's a lie. Always wipe under the silicone mat. Because stuff does get under it. Especially when, and it becomes a pain, especially when you're rolling stuff out. Alright. We're doing okay. During this little break in intermission, well, one, I'm probably going to do dishes and do some lesson. But something that we're also going to do is we're going to check and see what's going on in the world for a minute. Oh, wow, that kitten's not even 5 weeks old. Oh, I want 20. Oh, she's so cute. Okay, let's check Tumblr. What's Tumblr doing? Nothing, as per usual. Oh, I know. Let's see what Gambino's up to. He is still on there. Awesome. Alright. To assuage the boredom just a little bit, I think we're going to do something a little more...
This is how we do. This is how we do.
Wow, my chest is now covered in flour. It's like a shelf. Oh my god, these garlic knots look incredible. Alright. Yeah, actually, we're gonna make some cookies. But not until we do some cleaning. Alright. So I want your guys' input, and I know some of you aren't in chat right now, but I want your guys' input on what I should be doing next. Now, we could be doing cream puffs and eclairs next, like I promised I was going to this week, but everyone seemed to vote for the pizza and garlic knots, so that's what we're sticking with. So we're going to clean the strainers, our big dishes. Make sure everything's out of the way. Something that my mother has always said is clean as you go, which you guys already know that I run a pretty tight ship, so. Of course my parents would disagree, but I think so. Put that in the trash. That awkward moment when an eggshell ends up in your sink. I am so eager to taste these. But I shall hold off until they're all completely brown. You know, we're just putting the big dishes away, guys. We're making sure everything's nice and neat. Because if I do decide to do these cookies, like they're going to be real, genuine, bona fide chocolate chip cookies. None of this, we're not adding margarine, we're not doing any of that. Alright, we're just cleaning. I know I've said that a couple times. I'm just a little spent from messing this up all. Making sure your kitchen stays clean. Clean kitchen. Happy kitchen. And usually, for all of you younger viewers out there, and some of you who still live with your parents like I do, usually makes for a happy mom. Or a happy dad, whoever you live with. Just make sure you clean your stuff, guys. Like, you don't want to make something and then, you don't want to make something and then, be able to taste what you made last week in it. That's like what used to happen at Waffle House. People would order patty melts, but they could like taste the sausage or the bacon of the previous order in it. clean out everything. Oh god, cleaning out this tomato paste is kind of gross. Try to be careful with anything tomato that you have, because tomato does stain, and that stain is extremely resilient. Alright, so let's put these here, since we'll be needing them. Those two can stay there, even though that's just the pizza dough and the bread dough. Pizza dough, while I've got you guys, let me talk to you about the difference between pizza dough and bread dough. Bread dough is meant to be chewy. Pizza dough is meant to be crispy. So, naturally, bread dough is going to have a lot more fat and a lot more of what we call moisteners. Moisteners are the obvious. You've got stuff that moistens your dough. So that means milk, water, butter, oil, anything. But fat plays an important part, where fat, all that dough, what it does for your dough is that it creates steam, and steam is what leavens your dough in the oven when it melts. However, what causes the leavening in your dough is the yeast. The yeast, alcohol, which makes sugar, which makes the dough expand because of the air bubbles. Oh my god, the garlic knots are almost done. They look so sexy. I need to stop checking on them. I need to keep it shut, which is what I need to do. Okay. Let's bring the flour back over, because I think we're about to make some cookies. And I'm about to educate you guys on the importance of following the recipe when it comes to baking. Because whereas I said that cooking is like writing a book. You have where you want to go in mind, and you make up events or do some things to get to that point. However, baking is a science. Baking is chemistry, and in chemistry, if you have too much of a drop of something, it can become A, deadly, or B, dangerous. Now, usually you don't get deadly in baking, but there are certain baking applications, like Linzer torts, among other things, that actually use baking ingredients like ammonia. So it can be very possible to be, deadly with your baking. Especially if you don't quite know where your eggs are coming from. Like if your eggs are, or if you're in a country that doesn't pasteurize your eggs. I heard I know that that's a thing, that some countries don't pasteurize their eggs. If you live in a country like that, then you need to be very aware of what you're doing. Because if your bread or your pizza, like we're making today, or anything really is not cooked properly, you can get salmonella, which isn't good for anybody. Okay, I'm out of pan spray, so the wine is going back in the fridge, even though I definitely want to drink the rest of it.
adding 2 more mods after this game. I'm adding 2 more mods. Reach first. Right, we're getting 2 mods after this game. Take on death, how you doing? How's your week been, girl? How have you been? Bastard, don't even think about walking past that dude. Don't even think about it. Bastion, I swear to God, you're meant to be protecting me.
Alright. Alright. We're gonna grab one more bowl. This is my good, sparkling clean bowl. A clear one that everybody likes to see all the stuff in. Alrighty. Here we go. Alright, so we're going to talk about the importance of following a recipe once I find my last bag of chocolate chips. Okay, so chocolate chip cookies is probably one of the first, and I would say only, actual American recipe out there. Now, a lot of people would disagree with that assessment. But, you know what? I'll wait to cut these. You see this on the back of the chocolate chip, this is one of the most classic recipes you will ever make. And people make a bunch of modifications to it all the time. You know what? Hang on. We're gonna halt the lesson a little bit to bring out the, oh my god, the garlic knots look freaking amazing. You guys need to see this. Hang on. Let's put aside the confections for just a minute. Okay. Look at y'all. Look how pretty. Look at this. Alright, the pizza's still cooking. But look at the shine and how they look. Let's break one open. Ooh, still a little too hot. Maybe not check how they look right now. They're still super hot. Okay. So we're gonna make... Where's my last stick of butter? There it is. Well, hopefully you can come here and decompress, Andrew. I was about to show you what we're going to do with the tops. Oh. with the tops of these, oh dear. Oh dear. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so we've got our herb mix and our garlic mix here. And then, now that we have all that, we're honestly just gonna put it in the microwave. For about 30 seconds, if not more. But yeah, we're just gonna let it cook, and we'll hold off on the cookie lesson for right now, but I do want to show you guys how amazing these turned out. Look at that. They're a little bit cooler now, probably still a little bit too hot to pop open. But I am going to put them on a nice little plate to show you guys. Check the bottoms. The bottoms aren't too bad either. Probably could have used a little more oil on the bottom, but that's okay. Alrighty. Can I reach this from here? I am a tiny woman. I don't think I can reach that without showing all of you. Hang on, let's move the camera very slowly again. You still work, right? Good, okay. So, stretch! There we go. How beautiful. As I say, not dying from the inside right now. Alright. Uh-oh. It's getting closer again. There we go. We work? Yeah. Where is my... I lost my pastry brush again. Tell me you're surprised. Please tell me you're surprised. Oh god, where'd it go? I just washed it too. Oh. That was right in front of my face. Isn't that funny? Alright, so this is when we take our butter and herb mixture and we just brush them over like that. You see? Oh my god. Now, see, if I was feeling cheeky, we could put roast garlic on these, but I'm gonna set these on the plate and I'm gonna let them cool down for a while, because they are still super hot in the middle. All right, we're gonna check on the pizza one more time before I continue my cookie lesson. Honestly, I'm trying to do this stream for as long as the baking live stream. Yep, I'm gonna continue my cookie lesson in just a second. So I'm checking on the pizza. Pizza looks great. Though, I think I'm actually going to put it, I think I need to put it on the top shelf and not the bottom shelf. Just so the, oh my god. I can already see that cheese bubbling up. That looks incredible. Okay, so we're gonna put that on the top shelf. And let the crust get a little bit browner and the tops of that get a little bit browner. Cookie lesson will commence in just a second. But I can tell you that I can make chocolate chip cookies in like 30 minutes or less. Like, in the time it takes for Domino's to deliver a pizza, yes, I'm coming for Domino's Life. I'm coming for Domino's Life a lot in this stream. Okay? Like, it's happening. Domino's, I'm coming for your nips. Alright. Now I have my good cookie sheet out, not Old Faithful. But this is my good cookie sheet. You can tell it's already been used pretty heavily, but... Okay. So we're going to go back and focus on the... Yeah. I'm going to bring out the hand mixer so I can show you guys exactly what exactly is going on in the bowl. As you guys can tell by the noise, I haven't brought out the hand mixer in quite some time. I usually use the stand mixer only because it's so much easier, but... Alright. So... I will always say, if you don't bake or cook in any way, that this is probably the perfect recipe for you to follow. All the time. Always. As long as you follow it exactly as I do it here, which is exactly on the back of this chocolate chip bag. So, I don't always respect what Nestle does as a business. But, their legacy is probably one of the... They have probably one of the best culinary legacies in America. At least as far as recipes go. Alright. We've got 4. That's a hard chunk. Excuse me. Take out those hard chunks. Maybe I should sift my... That's 3/4. I usually add by the 4th. Mostly because it's easier to show you guys. And also, having to dig out my half-cup spoon that we use for coffee is annoying. Okay, so that's 3/4 white sugar and 3/4 brown sugar. Alright, come on. Get in there. Make sure your brown sugar is packed as closely as possible. Just like that. Oh my god, those garlic nuts smell so good. I can't wait for them to cool down. The pizza looks amazing, but I'm gonna have it cook for at least... I'd say about 15 more minutes until about 6:30, then I'll take it out. And then I'll put the cookies in. Then we get to see how the cookies turn out. Okay. When it comes to vanilla, I usually don't measure it. Usually what you can do is you just get the cup, get the cap, fill the cap, dump the cap in there, and I usually dump a little bit more. 1 teaspoon doesn't do it. Like maybe a teaspoon and a half to 2 teaspoons, that'll do it. But to me, a teaspoon doesn't do what vanilla should do. And it's up to you whether you want to use salted or unsalted butter. But I usually use salted butter because I've had people complain that my cookies are too sweet when I don't use unsalted butter. And we can't have that. So, I'm going to turn this in a direction so you can see what's going to happen here. Alright, this process is called creaming, because if you immediately mix in your butter with your flour, it will never get completely mixed in. So mix it in with your sugar, which is abrasive, and makes it easier to break up the butter and mix with it, and therefore you get what you really need, which is butter expertly mixed in with a couple of standouts. There we go. With your brown sugar. It's another hard chunk of brown sugar. Maybe I need to sift my sugar. Good lord. You know, you usually don't need to sift your sugar or flour in this. But, there's some hard chunks that seem like they need to be taken care of. Okay. So, because of that, I'm actually going to give this another run through. Yeah, that's the importance of having your butter at room temperature. Do not melt your butter. Do not melt your butter. Do not put your butter in cold. If you have to, put your butter out in the morning and then go do whatever and come back. But your butter has to be room temperature for this to look right. Okay. Next is the flour. And that's 2 cups. You know what? I'll just do it all at once. I was gonna do it little by little, so I can show you guys. I can show you guys what also goes on, but I'm not gonna. Because I mean, this is how you guys are gonna make it. You guys probably aren't gonna make it cup by cup, and because this is supposed to be a recipe that you do in a hurry, honestly. Okay. That's 2 1/4 cup of flour. And I usually immediately put the flour up after that. Oh, the pizza's looking great. I'm going to give it a bit longer. Yeah, I'm going to give it 10 more minutes. Okay. So we don't need these anymore. We can put them away. Now next, where's my teaspoon? Teaspoon, why? I was doing so well, and I was sounding so intelligent, and then suddenly my teaspoon decides to leave me. Where have my teaspoons gone? This is embarrassing. Ah, here they are. Located by the coffee, where they probably should be, because that's where I keep them. Okay. Now, it says add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I'll usually add 2 or 1.5, just so they puff up a little bit more. But baking soda is what's known as a chemical leavening agent. A chemical leavening agent isn't like yeast or steam. It basically forces a chemical reaction so your batter can ferment and create those bubbles that it needs to rise. But because they're cookies and they don't need to rise like cake, you only add about a teaspoon. But I like really puffy cookies. And then for your salt, since I'm using salted butter, I don't need to use a lot of salt. So I will use a teaspoon, but I'm going to use a little bit less. And usually, baking is the only reason I will ever use iodized salt in anything. Because iodized salt, to me, tastes like metal. But iodized salt is also much finer than kosher salt. It is complex once you get down to it. But that's only because I took a class. All you need to know is you follow the recipe exactly, and it comes out. And it comes out the way you need it to. But I am telling you the why and how it comes out so perfectly when you do what you need to do. Okay, so first thing we gotta do, and this is basically the easiest way, in my opinion, to teach someone, is through chocolate chip cookies. Because everybody knows chocolate chip cookies, you know? It's a little harder to explain with cookies you have to roll out with like sugar cookies and stuff. But chocolate chip cookies are super simple. It's really a 3-step process. And you don't have to sift, which makes it easy. Always remember to scrape or kick down your sides. Alright, and then watch this egg cracking technique. Eggs are what hold your batter together, and excuse me. Eggs are what holds your batter together. Eggs are what's called... Ooh! Hey, what's up, Squishy? You're the same color as Andrew. I'm gonna go. I need some rest. I'm sorry. Alright. Make sure you just level out. You know, level out, decompress. I'm sure you'll feel better when you wake up. I mean, that's usually what I do. When I'm feeling super stressed, I take a nap and usually I feel better. But what's up, Squishy? You're the same color as Andrew, so I thought you two were the same. And I couldn't tell from where I'm standing. But yes, eggs are what keeps your batter together. Because eggs are what's called an emulsifying agent. Because you're baking there we go. Your batter is what is basically an emulsion. Hang on, you guys probably can't hear me over the loud mixer. Let's get that little bit. Alright, some bits are going to fly out. Sorry about that. It's the hand mixer. It's just something a hand mixer does. Hand mixers make baking messy. They really do. Okay. So we're gonna check back with the pizza since it's 6:25. That crust is looking nice and brown. Anyways, how are you doing, Squishy? I didn't realize that was you. Oh my god, that looks sexy. And I'm gonna keep it in for about 5 more minutes. I'm gonna show you guys. The these. Where are my scissors? Oh, I put them over there. Of course I did. Alright. When you add something like this to your baking, when you add something like this to your batter, and the reason why mostly, usually what happens is, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Usually what happens is you have to make sure whatever you add to your baking has no moisture in it. Kind of like what I did with the spinach on the pizza. That's why chocolate chips are so popular, because they have no moisture in which to lose. So if you were adding, so when you see people making oatmeal raisin cookies, that's why they don't add, say, grapes or actual cranberries. They add dried cranberries or, come on. Sorry, the hand mixer is struggling for some reason. I make these all the time, come on. Alright, there we go. Also, unless you are a professional, never put your hands on the mixer like that. Ever. Because you will lose your fingers. Don't do as I say, not as I do. Okay? Don't do that. Okay. Perfect. Alright, we're going to set this aside so I can show you guys how the pizza looks. The pizza looks amazing. And it smells great too. Oh my god, it smells amazing. I'm not exactly fond of the attachments of this hand mixer because usually a mixer should be rounded. Honestly, that's what should happen. It should be rounded and it should look, I don't know, better. It shouldn't cut through the ingredients. It should mix them. This one kind of cuts through the ingredients, and I have different attachments for them, yeah, but as fate would have it, it just doesn't look right, I guess. As fate would have it, I lost the other two, so. Alright, we're going to wipe down our surface, and then I'm going to show you guys how amazing this pizza turned out. And that was about 45 minutes. 45 minutes worth. But, a Chicago pizza, like I'm making right now, takes about 6 to 8 hours of work. So you gotta make your dough ahead of time. I made the dough at around, what? Around noon? Somewhere around there? So, time for the grand unveiling. Oh wait, it's the little jiggly in the middle. I'm going to do is I'm going to let the sauce set a bit more than it has been. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let the sauce set for a bit longer. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put the oven on broil and just keep a close eye on things for right now. Because I don't want the crust to burn. I just want the sauce to get rid of all that moisture. And I thought it had when I baked it, but I guess I was wrong. Alright. In the meantime, I'm going to show you guys the importance of why you don't need to grease a pan when you make cookies. Alright, the importance of not having a greased pan with cookies is because there's so much fat in these cookies. I mean, there's a cup of butter in it. By the way, always use an ice cream scoop. It makes it twice as easy to get what you need, and they're all going to be the same size. And the best thing about it is they're all going to be the same size, and they're all going to be huge. It's great. They might melt together, they might not. It's whatever. I shouldn't be so cavalier about it, but come on, chocolate cookies. But yeah, there's so much fat in this recipe that basically, if there's fat on the cookie sheet, the emulsion, which is the dough, will treat it like it's part of the recipe and try to bake all that fat in with the cookies, and therefore the cookies turn out brown. They sort of melt into the pan almost, and it makes for kind of an unappetizing look. Yeah, we're gonna wait for the sauce to boil out for a little bit before I show you, but I can show you guys the garlic knots again. The garlic knots look freaking sexy. Look at that. Let's look at that up close. Don't they look great? And I think they're nice and squishy. Oh, and all that butter in it. Look at that. They turned out a bit dense. But the butter and the crevices offsets that perfectly. Those turned out great. And I can show you a quick trick I learned. If you don't want to bake them in the microwave, if you don't want to bake these in the oven, I learned a trick, actually. This is the garlic nut dough. You can see it has all the herbs in it and everything. Well, I guess I don't have it anymore. Well, that's a bummer. I was hoping to have a little extra mozzarella cheese, but I can show you with some Mexican cheese. No big deal. Or some cheddar cheese. It can really be any cheese, honestly. So I'll show you with a little bit of Mexican cheese. Yeah, this will do. Let's bring out the rolling pin. Bertha. The punching stick is what we're going to call it. Roll it out. Again. Roll it again. You can cut away the excess. I don't like cutting away the excess, but I'll do it for you guys for uniform purposes. It doesn't have to be perfect, honestly. I just like it when it looks like a square like this, because it's easy to handle. Let's move the sauce to the side. And we'll bring up the non-stick pan again. This recipe doubles as a flatbread recipe. It's a modified non-bread recipe without the yogurt. Because yogurt's expensive. Kitchen Start Simulator brings out bone saw. I actually used to have one. The chef I learned under liked to teach young ladies, particularly younger ladies like me, how to butcher pigs and cows. So I actually used to have one. Or at least I used to have one that was under my name at school, and no one else was allowed to use it but me. And a couple of the other ladies, the younger students, had their own too. So I actually did have a bone saw. And we had the bone saws because we weren't allowed to use the band saws. Like those big band saws you see in reality shows and stuff where they talk about like butcher houses, stuff like that. Yeah, we're not allowed to use those. I have not stopped eating these garlic knots. Okay. With this recipe being hot, we're going to throw it on there. Cheese and everything. And really, you can stuff it with whatever you want. But it cooks on the stove just like that. And you don't need it. Alright, good. That's going a little bit slower. I'm glad. Just checking out the pizza, the last bit of the pizza. And it seems to be okay now. I was a little panicky there for just a second, but we're good. Alright. I've got my giant stick. We're gonna put it back. The punishing stick, as I call it. And, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to store. I'm gonna show you how to store these doughs here. So every time you've got raw dough like this, you can put them in a plastic bag, but hang on. Sorry. Got my stick. I'm gonna put it back. Yep. Alright. So we're gonna do the soft. We're gonna do the soft pizza crust first, because you see the pizza crust is very soft and pliable and all that good stuff. Why do I keep putting my oil away? I know I'm gonna need it, but I keep putting it away. Alright, pizza's seriously very nearly done. For the soft dough, Now, you could either spray it with pan, or as I'm going to do, just put some oil on it. Make sure it's nice and slick. Get some on the dough. Place that face down. Make sure you wrap it very tightly. Let's flip this over. Don't do that with your hands unless you're a trained professional. And throw it in the plastic bag. Now, for the harder dough, excuse me. Alright, we're going to take this off the oven, because that is very much done. And I can show you guys the inside in just a sec. But we're going to take this dough for the harder dough. And I've already explained why this is a harder dough than the pizza crust. We're going to put a little bit of flour on this. And the reason why we do that, the reason why we put flour on one and oil on the other is because this one, does not have a lot of fat in it. So it can get dry very easily. Inversely, with this, it does not have a lot of flour in it, so therefore it can get sticky very easily. And both of those can go in the plastic bag and into the fridge. It has to go in the fridge because if you don't, because you have to slow down. Because if you don't, the dough will continue to rise and ferment, and then you'll just get sourdough. Well, very, very bad sourdough. Alright, we'll set that pan aside to cool, and then we'll look at our little cheese bread here. It's a bit of a thinner layer of cheese that I like, but you can see that the inside is in fact very cheesy. Maybe not as fluffy, certainly not as... Now when you put it on the stove, this is certainly not as fluffy as the garlic knots, but still pretty good. Alright. Now the pizza has to come out. Cookies are almost done now too. Oh wow, it's not jiggly at all. Oh my god, this looks amazing. Okay. Alright. Look at that. Look at how great that looks. Now we're going to let this settle for maybe about 15 to 20 minutes. But it's already set, so I'm going to remove the spring. Trying not to burn myself. That is a sexy pizza. Now we're gonna let, like I said, we're gonna let that sit for about, 10 minutes or so. Probably until the cookies, when the cookies are done. And I'll show you the cookies too. We're just gonna let that sit off to the side as a reminder. Alright. Lastly but not leastly, if you've ever wanted to know how to make the same frozen cookie dough, this is how. Nope. There we go. Alright. Just lay it here. And FYI, this cookie dough can be frozen up to 6 months. So if you ever just want to make it just because, usually what I do is I make it and then I'll make like a cookie once or twice every night. Usually twice. Who am I kidding? Yeah, you roll it really tight like that. And I'm going to cover I'm going to cover it again, just in case. But usually just once is enough. And make sure that's wrapped nice and tight. Boom. Done. And this one is also going in the fridge. Cookies are very, very close to being done. This is an interesting song. I need to find some better royalty-free music. Because really, this is just a stream where it just plays a lot of royalty-free music that we won't get in trouble for. But not today, apparently. Today, they seem to be a little less than quality. Don't tell them I said that, though. They're all very nice to do that for us, I believe. So I really shouldn't criticize them. Like, they don't have to provide this music for us, especially if they're really only getting paid through ads and not through actual royalties in the music. That's hard. Like, being an artist without royalties is pretty difficult. Alright, not really doing anything right now, just cleaning. Making sure that when the baking stream is over, I don't have that much to do. This looks a lot harder than those Cooking Mama games. Yeah, a little bit. Though I will play Cooking Mama if you guys want me to. I was tempted to call this channel The Real Cooking Mama. And I test drove it for a little bit, but then I got some testy emails from a mommy blogger, and I was like, okay, Jesus. Like, she was pissed. She said, it's not good, and it's not good for your channel, and it's not good for channels like mine if you put mom or mom in the title and you're not actually a mother. It's a disservice to my community and to yours. And I was like, I was naming it after a video game. Can you chill? But yeah, I got some an angry email from a woman I didn't know, so I was like, alright. Okay, the cookies are about done. The cookies are done, actually. I'm taking them out of the oven. And you want them to be a touch underdone in the middle. But only a touch. But this is how they should look. Alright. So we're letting everything cool down right now. So we don't burn ourselves when we finally tuck in. I'm going to get all this from the bottom of the bottom of this bowl. I love this bowl. I know that sounds weird, but if I'm like doing demonstrations or streams or whatever, this bowl is always so perfect because everybody can see what's going on inside. I need more like this. I need small. I have the small one, but I don't have. This is the only big one of these I have. I have a bunch of stainless steel bowls, but I usually use those for cooking, not making. What do you think, Squishy? Do you want to see cream puffs next time, or what? Do you want to see cream puffs? Or do you want to see Overwatch cupcakes? That's another one I've been considering doing. I already have a bunch of flavors written down. I just need to actually get, I think the first cupcake I'm gonna do, I would do is, I think the first cupcake I would do is, Lucio. Because everybody loves Lucio. It's hard not to. He's so happy, and he's so cute. It's hard not to love Lucio. It's very easy not to love Tracer, though. There's this one Overwatch match I was playing a couple of nights ago, and I actually got so tilted, I almost threw my controller. I was so angry, and she was manipulating me every step of the way. Like, for some reason, it didn't matter. I was like, then all of my Junkrat rage was focused on killing this Tracer. And like a freaking 12-year-old, every time I killed her, I teabagged her. But, you know, that wasn't my most mature moment. It wasn't, but it was making me mad. So, I had to change it. Yes, I do cooking themes. On my YouTube channel, I have Yu Yu Hakusho and Zelda, but those are the only two I got a chance to finish. Two of my other cakes are Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy X. I meant to do a Tiana and Naveen cake from Princess and the Frog, but that one didn't work out. Okay. What cookies are we making? Hey, Gambino! We just finished making chocolate chip cookies, actually. You must be finished with your stream, then. We've made pizza, we've made garlic knots, and we've made chocolate chip cookies. As a matter of fact, I'm about to wrap up myself here. But we gotta eat first. Where the hell is my spatula? I need a spatula. Alright, y'all are about to get full fan service here. Alright. See, they're still kind of chewy. Look at that. And look at the bottoms. Look how perfect those are. And they just slip right off. They don't stick at all. And if they do stick a little bit, you have a spatula. So that's literally what the spatula is for, is to unstick. Alrighty. Okay. Let's wipe down our friend silicone mat here. But it is I love this mat. Like, it keeps the surfaces clean, but you do have to wipe under it no matter what anyone says. People say you don't have to, they are liars. Okay. Alright, the bottom is still super hot, so we're gonna be careful with that. But we got pizza, and we've got garlic knots minus the ones I've already eaten. So there we go. Okay, let's dig into this pizza, shall we? Someone say chocolate chip. Garlic naan is basically garlic bread. And that's basically all it is. It's basically garlic bread, but in knot form. And for the pizza, we bring out the big guns. Hang on. The big guns still have raw dough on them. Hang on. There we go. Perfection. This is the big gun. This is my giant bread knife, and I use it for cutting bread. Amazing, right? That's the only reason anybody should ever be using a serrated knife, is to cut bread. Look at that masterpiece. Look at that. Look at all the cheese and the... Can you see that? Can you see that? That is some good shit right there. Okay. Garlic knot and a cookie. I'm gonna actually take a bite of this pizza right now. Giant bread knife for cutting bread. Yeah, that's really the only reason I use it. Okay, and lastly... Y'all. I mean... The dough is actually super crispy. I didn't put a... Hear that? That might be a better... Like, do you hear the fork? Probably not because of the music. But, when it sounds like that, that actually means it's super crispy. So the dough on the bottom is super crispy. And it just, oh my god. All that cheese. Chicago pizza is honestly the best thing to have ever happened to the United States. I'm gonna go on record saying that because I've never had actual genuine New York pizza, but I have had Chicago pizza. And that's where I'm putting my alliances so far. Let's take a look at this cookie. Look at that. It's just perfectly chewy. Right there in the middle. And, I'm biting it. Yeah, definitely. I've already bitten the garlic knot, but there's your garlic bread, and it's got all the butter in it. So, yeah. Alrighty, guys. We're gonna go have dinner. So, oh, you modded me? Okay, I'll let, thank you for letting me know. Yeah, apparently we do have free cookies. Squishy's been here for a good hour or so. But, thank you guys for attending the stream. If you would like to sponsor the content, go ahead and click the donate button with the Streamlabs. It is on my YouTube and it is in it's in the chat. If you really, really love me, you will go and subscribe to my channel, which is Cake or Death on YouTube. I will be posting this stream at around 1 a.m. tonight. So that's Eastern Standard Time at 1 a.m. There is, tomorrow, we're going to be having an Overwatch party again. Vito, I hope you can join me if you feel like it. Yeah, Overwatch party is probably going to be at around 5 or 6. And probably going to end at around 8. So, yeah, and Sunday is probably going to be just beer and Sims. That's what that's what we're going to be doing. So, aside from that, thank you guys for watching this baking stream. I'm so glad the pizza turned out to be amazing, and so did the garlic knots. I'm really happy with everything turned out, and I'm happy that you guys are here. So, without further ado, stay weird, lovelies, and happy eating.